Hey everyone, this week insight number 3. There was no notes this week because it's just been one of those weeks. I'm just kind of freestyling some thoughts. First two really got a little bit of a timeline, and then we've got like the whole temptation of Christ and how that was and why. And I recommended Elder Bedner's thoughts on that, so have a look at that one. That's number 2. So this is number 3. So we're over in Luke chapter 4. And, you know, we often hear the phrase that a prophet that's sent to a people is never actually really accepted by his people. Like, they usually end up preaching somewhere else. It's better for a stranger to come in. You know, you look at, this just throughout history, they're not going to be accepted. But anyway, Christ goes back to, he returned in the Spirit, power of the Spirit, unto Galilee, where he'd found fame in the region. People, like, not seeking fame, but people knew who he was. People were familiar with him and what he'd done. But he came to Nazareth. Remember Nazareth, where he grew up. He's been away for a while, obviously, because they didn't quite recognize him straight away. And he goes into the synagogues and starts preaching and tells them why he's there. He actually went into and started reading, as was their custom to just read, and read some stuff. And he says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. And like, this is, you know, the minister's right there, and instead of saying, I will send him, he's like, no, I am him. And he closed the book and gave it to the minister and sat down, and everyone in the synagogue was all like, right? They were like, oh my gosh. And he began to say unto them, this is the verse 21, began to say unto them, the day in the scripture fulfilled is now. Like, this scripture that you're reading, this is me. I am him. I am come to do these things. And they all bore witness, and they were like, great. They were like, oh my gosh. And then one of them pipes up and says, is this not the son of Joseph? And they're like, oh, yeah, it is. And he says to them, verily I say unto you, no prophet is accepted in his own country, but I will tell you of a truth. And he tells them about Elias, remember from last year, who couldn't go back to his own land because they were trying to kill him. And he went to the woman and got that small meal and you know, saved her and her son, and went on. And then went on to save Naaman and everything. But when they hear all of this, and he's trying to teach them, trying to do the best for them, they like have this, oh my gosh, and they are filled with wrath in verse 28. And in 29, they rose up and thrust him out of the city and led him unto the brow of the hill, whereon their city was built, that they might cast him down headlong. But of course this is Jesus, so he's like, and he passing through the midst of them went his way. So this is the first Sabbath day for him. This is a Sabbath day, and they're people who want to tear down. They're not willing to look beyond the fact that this was a local son. He came from Nazareth. This is just one of the local kids. Like, how could he be Christ, you know? And it's like, well, why couldn't he be? And I bet people who grew up with President Nelson, or any of our apostles, or past prophets, or any of our leaders, you know, when they sat next to them in primary, I bet they didn't think, this is the next prophet. This is going to be a prophet someday. They didn't think that. So, of course, it can be a local kid, but these people, again, and some people today, just think that it's going to be this high and mighty, already coming out glowing person. No, it is going to be someone that you probably grew up with, that you know, got into trouble with a couple of times because you disobeyed your parents and they told you off. Like, nothing terrible, but, you know, you got up to some mischief and had a bit of a laugh, and that's who they are. They were and are people. Yeah. Okay, so he goes down a week later, and he's in now Capernaum in Galilee, and he teaches again, and they're just like, oh my gosh, we love this, it's amazing, you're awesome. He heals a man, casts the devil out, and they're all amazed, and then they say, like, what a work, what authority, you can command unclean spirits, and they're all like, yes, we love you, Jesus. So there's a difference between those that want to tear down people and those that want to build up people and are willing to believe, those that are miracle seekers and those that are belief destroyers. and pick holes and stuff, and we will see them even in our own church, in our own wards and branches and areas where there's some people that, just want to tear down and criticize all the time, whether they mean to or not. And then there are others who are like, oh, that's awesome, that's beautiful. Even if I don't quite see how it's going to work, let me try and help you with that. Or I really believe that you've got something good here. Let's try and make this work. So there's just two different sorts of people there that are accepting Christ. That's something to look at there, and I just wanted to point that out. Again, sorry I don't have any notes. Yeah. So it's just Christ the physician, and also in 42 where he comes out and he's like, there's a lot of people. He heals a lot of them. In verse 40, now when the sun was setting, all that had any sick with divers diseases brought them unto him, and he laid his hands on everyone and healed them. And this is like where he goes off and just has another meditative moment and just stays, and people sought him because they want to be healed. I mean, if you heard someone was healing people of stuff, I'd get in that queue. Even if it wasn't real, I'd take the chance, because it's pretty to be sick all the time, right? And it's one of the weeks I've had, which is why there's no notes. Just haven't had a great week health-wise, but it's all good. It's fine. I'm all right. But if somebody said, oh, this particular bishop's giving out blessings and people are getting healed from them, well, yeah, I'm going to go try. I want to try it, and doesn't mean that it's better than any other blessing, but why not, right? Yeah, I don't know, you say, oh, every blessing is the same. And yes, they are. Any priesthood power blessing is going to heal you like anyone else would. Some people give them with nicer words, but it's the same priesthood that's going to bless you. But if you heard, and you had not encountered gospel things before, and you heard that there was this person who was healing people, would you not go and try? It's like now we hear there's this new miracle thing. Remember when turmeric came out and everyone's suddenly on turmeric because it does all these things? And it works for a lot of people, and it didn't really do anything for. So you're going to go try these things, aren't you? I remember walking in, when I first got psoriasis, I remember walking into the health shop, and I was itching so badly. You can see, this is pretty good actually. There's not much redness there, but this gets real bad. You can see the discoloring and how it's thinned my skin. You can see the veins through there, as opposed to, say, healthier skin here. You can see a little red patch there. But this is actually really good because we're in the middle of summer and it's had a lot of light. But I have this, lots of places. And it's just what it is. And I live with that, and I've made my peace with it. But when I first got it, it was so freaking itchy, and I didn't know anything about it. I don't have any creams or treatments for it, and I was waiting to see a doctor because there just wasn't any available, even back then. Now it's just even worse. So I just walked into the shop. I'm like, give me anything, or tell me what to do. I mean, I said to my friends and my husband, I said, if somebody told me to stand in a cow poo in a field on one foot, I'd try it, because I want this to stop. So I walked into this health food shop, and I'm like, what is it? Just give it to me to stop the itching. And it was this cream that smelt gross and had a mentholy sting to it, but it worked. And it was made of all natural New Zealand ingredients, and it really, really worked and stopped the itching. For any of you in New Zealand, it's a Malcolm Harker product, and you can buy it online now. I don't think they sell in many shops, but you can buy it online. Malcolm Harker. And it's a green, fluidy stuff. And it was amazing. But this is where that desperation moment of wanting that miracle comes in, and they will try anything. And if you say you can heal us, then we'll believe you and let you try. And you do that because we'll take whatever you're going to give. And that's the difference between that and those that are like, oh, nothing's going to cure you, you're just going to have to suffer through it, and don't worry about it, and you're just a local kid, you can't do anything. So the difference in the attitude of the people, and which one are you going to be? Yeah, think about that. All right, we're going to talk about chapter 5. There's some things there that happen, and what that means too, because, yeah, it's pretty cool as well. So I'll see you there.